Well, what's up, guys? It's your boy Wings of Redemption, and I'm not feeling the greatest right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and just do one of these talking videos because I just had something that's kind of set a fire on me. Um, One of the things that I noticed today when I was looking at the news was they're talking about how 37% of the population thinks the Obama healthcare bill is unconstitutional, and it shouldn't be passed or whatever. And I looked at that and I sort of thought about it, and I thought, man, this can't be real. And the reason I was thinking it can't be real is because who would do something like that? I mean, I understand everybody has their woes, their worries, and everything, but do people really are so self-conceited in life that they can't pretty much just reach out and help others at time? Like, there's never a point in my life where I thought, man, I'd rather put this guy down than help him out. And even in a competition sort of thing, I'm not the best sport in the world. I'm not. But I've never would want, wish harm on somebody else because they beat me in a game or something like that. You might joke about it from time to time, but how can people be upset for having to pay a little bit more taxes so that when people get sick, they actually can get taken care of? I mean, our country is a joke at this point. It dead is. I'm as patriotic as they come, but I understand that our country is a joke, and how can you be taken seriously? Like, look at example. We were one of the after World War II, we were one of the strongest nations out there, and we have a very strong military. Mainly because our military is so strong because we put so much money into it, and we loan so much money out and never get it back. And the way we got our systems working, it pretty much destroys our lower and middle class population to pretty much big up the 1%. I doubt Steve Jobs had trouble getting medical health care for when he was sick because he had tons of money. He could pretty much buy any doctor he wanted. So health is really irrelevant for him because it doesn't matter. But for somebody going out there making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, even somebody making $100,000, healthcare is important because $100,000 isn't nothing in shy of what some of these hospital bills run you. Look at this, for example. I live in Conway, South Carolina, and to go to Conway Hospital to sign your name on that ledger, it's going to cost you $600. You're going to be buying $10 aspirins. Everything in the medical system is expensive, and part of the reason it's expensive is because of lawyers. People sue and countersue, malpractice suits, everything pretty much runs up the bills because you gotta pay for the insurance, you gotta pay for the doctor's time, you gotta pay for the education being so expensive here compared to other countries. I mean, everything's more expensive, and the fact is our country can't balance a checkbook. That's the sad truth. Like, if I can't balance a checkbook, my light gets turned off. If I can't balance a checkbook, I don't eat. But if America can't balance a checkbook, you know what? They make more money. And when they print more money, you know what happens? Our money it's worthless at that point. Like, I remember being amazed as a kid, like 100 pesos was, I don't know the exact transfer rate, but a peso is something like, it takes like 15 peso to make $1 or something like that. And the reason because of it is Mexicans printed their money pretty much free-handedly to make up for it. And when you print so much money and none of the money's getting taken out of rotation, it's not as worth as much, especially when you have nothing to back it. I mean, we had the Fort and Gold Knox to back it, but we owe more than the Fort Knox Gold, not Gold Knox. And even if we still have the Golden Fort Knox, I don't know. I mean, I can't see behind a vault door. I think it was on worth like something like $50 billion. We owe $15 trillion. $15 trillion. And like, I mean, obviously the unemployment rate hasn't pretty much changed in years. I mean, they've made a little bit strides to make it better, but why are we trying to shit on our own people? I mean, even when our country is going down the drain like it is right now, politicians, crooked companies, pharmaceutical companies all over the television. Hell, you know what I seen the other day that really pissed me off? I seen they were certain cities like Maryland is starting to sell fire hydrants and fire trucks to fast food chains. So basically, fast food chains, which include the 1%, can now buy our fire trucks So when you have your house burning down, the KFC truck's coming fucking by to put it out. Maybe you want to buy some fucking fried chicken after that. And that pisses me off. It seriously does. And we're constantly outsourcing jobs. I mean, I used to drive Chevrolet exclusively. I was a Chevy man through and through. And you know the reason why I started buying Ford? Because more of their Ford trucks are made in America than Chevrolet trucks. Chevrolet trucks are mainly made in Canada and Mexico. And there's some parts that come through the United States, but only like 30% of the truck is actually made in the United States at this point, whereas Ford makes like 80% of the truck in the United States. And mainly because I just want to keep the dollar at home. It's got nothing to do with anything else. I just want to keep people that in my own country working, because I know if I don't, nobody else is either. It's just like, I don't know. I'm feeling real lightheaded today and stuff. I need to get some calories in me, and I'm partially dehydrated. I'm trying to suck back water, but yeah, selling advertisements. So basically, the 1% can take even more of the middle class money. I'm surprised they don't put like fucking McDonald's on the side of a squad car. I wouldn't be far off seeing that. Let's say you have the Conway Police Department on the door. Call 911 on the back door, eat a fucking Big Mac on the fucking trunk. Why not? You got to make money somehow. You can't keep constantly raising the taxes because half the people are out of work anyway, because you've outsourced all the jobs because you keep raising taxes on businesses. And, I don't know. But the fact is, I think it's sad that 37% of the people don't want a bill because they have to pay a little bit more money. And like you just see me sit there bitch about the government always raising taxes and stuff and paying more money, but they raise taxes because of them fucking up. They don't raise taxes because it would be in the best interest of the community. I mean, people that need health care, they should get health care. They shouldn't have to fucking give up everything they've ever earned or worked for in life because they had a heart attack one day. You can be in perfect shape and have a heart attack, dude. You remember that one dude that used to jog all the time? I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had a heart attack while jogging. And we have a fish heart. It's got pretty much one main vein going to it. And if that vein ever gets clogged, that muscle works too hard and it strains itself, that's a heart attack, dude. There's so many things you can do that you can't really prepare for a heart attack. It's just something that happens. It's a game of luck. And like it's just over and over and over again. Like, for example, this is not an example of human, but this is an example I've seen recently. My grandma has a dog named Daisy, and Daisy goes to a vet. Well, when you go to a vet, they go, we're going to worm your dog, but we want to do a pre-screen worm for $50. And like, okay, why do you got a pre-screen her if you're going to give her the worm medicine anyway? All right, you're going to give her the worm medicine, which is going to treat worms, whether she has them or not. If she doesn't have worms, she's still going to give the worm medicine to prevent them. So what does it matter if you pre-screen her? You're going to give her the same treatment regardless. I mean, that's just like an extra $50. That's an example of gouging. And like when you go to the doctors now, everybody wants to dip their fucking hands into the fucking insurance pot. And that makes insurance go up. Like if you go to a doctor, for example, let's say you have I don't know, let's say you have a strain in your neck or something, like you have a muscle or something. You go to the doctor, you get checked out, you got to do this examination. All right, you get there, you get checked out. He spends probably less than 3 to 5 minutes with you, and then prescribes you some drugs. And then he schedules for a visit to see if you're feeling better. And you're going to pay the same amount of money on the visit you're feeling better. Or he's going to go send you to get blood work done, or this or that or whatever. And everybody's going to get as much people to dip their hands in their pocket as possible, because if he knows, because they're basically reflecting people. I mean, it works just like that in the hospital system. You reflect people back and forth. Like, for example, if you if that doctor sends X amount of customers to the hospital to get blood work, hospital is gonna send X amount of customers to him because he specializes in some field. I know this is not very thought out, so please don't nitpick this conversation. I'm just saying it off the top of my head. But I just find it bad. And I can't believe polls like that. I mean, I want to believe in my head that they're made up. Like, this is some shit that somebody had to buy, because I have faith in my fellow man that he's not going to shit on me. If I want to believe that if I have an accident, or if I, have some kind of serious illness and I fall out in Walmart, somebody there is going to be willing to help me because it's the human thing to do. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm sorry about this video being very under production quality. It's not. I'm just feeling really bad today, and like but there is some good news. I did weigh myself last night, and I figured I was about 430 pounds when I started this diet 5 weeks ago, and now I'm at 398, which is a loss of probably 32 pounds. And yeah, what do you guys think about healthcare? I know some of you guys are real young and you're in really good health, but I know some of you guys are getting up in age. You might be 35, 40, and you're actually paying for healthcare through a job or a business of some sort. And I'm sure if you work and you have one of those job plans, I'm sure you've been in one of those safety meetings or whatever where they talk about how they're going to try to save you money, but guess what? The medical care has to go up, which in the long run just takes more money out of your check and puts less thing in the thing and more in the job market. I don't know. Maybe some people that go into the doctor field, maybe they're there for the wrong reasons. Because if I ever went to a doctor field, yes, I'd want to get paid. I'd want to get compensated. You know, everybody wants to get compensated, but I would probably be the first guy to waive my fee to save somebody's life. And I'm not saying they don't do it. I'm just saying that it's not common enough. Peace, guys.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Wings of Redemption, and I'm back and I'm bringing you an audio commentary. Today, I'm going to talk about something a little bit more serious. I did a video on healthcare just 3 or 4 days ago, and it almost seemed like I was for Obamacare. And even though I was talking about Obamacare, I want to kind of clarify a couple things in that video, since Obamacare got pretty much... The Supreme Court said it was constitutional. That made it one step closer to being actually put into law and effect. And I know a lot of you guys out there are from the United Kingdom and some like from Ireland and people all over the world might not understand the bill of Obamacare. So I'm going to break the bill down a little bit. It's not going to be as boring as you think it's going to be, and I'm going to kind of, in my best understanding of it, and by no means am I an expert on the Obamacare bill. I read it at least one time through today, basically like 1.5. I skimmed back through it just a while ago, and just like all bills that we push through the law, like the Patriot Act, it's worded very complexly, and it's made so people like, you know, the normal person wouldn't understand what the hell they were signing. And I doubt any of these senators ever read these bills, but I'm gonna go through it and actually show you some of the premiums and stuff they actually put with it, and show you some of the counter arguments and whatever. Hopefully this won't take too long. Alright. Basically, I said before in this video, you check it in the top right hand corner real quick for the click, that people are basically, they don't want to help each other. And by that means is people rather spend the money they have on the mediocre things that they think they need instead of actually giving somebody a helping hand. And when you actually bring it up, they always bring up the worst case example of everything. Like, I don't want to work because I don't want to make sure somebody that's lazy gets help. I don't want to work to keep somebody on food stamps. I don't want to work, you know, those kind of lines of things, instead of looking at the positive light of, you know, I'm willing to work and give some of my money up so that a child can get chemotherapy. I'm willing to work and, you know, give some of my money up because, you know, a mother of 3 with a father running out on them might have a baby with colic. You know, things like that. You know, just straight up hardship kind of things. I know there's stuff like Medicaid right now for like babies with colic and whatnot, but there's a lot of people out there that might not be fortunate enough. Like, for example, I know this is a horrible example, but autistic kids. What about autistic kids? Let's say a kid is born with autism into a family that doesn't have the means to take care of him. I mean, autism costs a lot of money. It does. I have 2 friends with autistic children right now, and I've heard some of the horror stories about second mortgages. I've heard the horror stories about moving to afford treatment, moving to get better treatment, things like that. And they were, luckily, the 2 of my friends, they have really good paying jobs. and they put their life on hold to pay for this. And it's a very noble thing that they're doing, giving up a majority of their youth to make sure that their son can live the best possible life they could live. You know, giving up stuff they want to make sure somebody else has a chance to have stuff, to want stuff, if that tells what you mean. But, you know, for every child that's like that, that's born into a good family, there's going to be a child that's born into a family that can't afford them. And those are where a lot of the homeless people come from. You know, a good deal of homeless people are either drug addicts or just people that nobody wants to take care of. You know, hospitals closed, things like that, and they have nowhere to go. So instead of like these children being, you know, thrown out because of pre-existing conditions, aka autism, something like that, they would actually be able to get paid for. But then let's talk about Obamacare and why Obamacare is not what we need for this country. What we need is a socialized medicine. And, you know, every time you hear socialized medicine, people automatically bring up long waiting lines. Matter of fact, let me show you a chart. This is your standard, you know, waiting list for common surgeries. You have the cardiac bypass, a little over 2 months. All cancers, a little over 2 months. A CT scan, 73 days. You know, prostate cancer, 69 days. And people are like, man, horrible waiting times. And, you know, these are all variables. These are generally how long you're going to wait for them. But let me tell you another story. You might have to wait 2 months to get that cardiac bypass. But if you don't have insurance, like my buddy Brooke, you know, Bastard Brooke, he don't have insurance. He's paid into his Social Security about $270,000 because he owned his own plumbing business. And he's not disabled at this point in his life, but he doesn't have work, and he's also has cirrhosis of the liver. So he has to go to a thing called the Friendship Clinic since he doesn't have insurance. And the Friendship Clinic is a nonprofit organization clinic that pretty much see you. And he applied to have his liver checked in March. You know what date they give him? They gave him August 10th. He still hasn't got his liver checked, and his feet are swelling, his legs are swelling, and he might be dead by August. I mean, it's socialized medicine, you know, it's no different than, you know, medicine we have here. Unless you have thousands upon thousands of dollars and great fucking insurance, you're going to be on a long waiting list regardless. If you need a heart transplant, guess what? There's a waiting list. You ever see the movie John Q? That kid had a fucking waiting list for a heart. You know why? Because it's all about surgeons. Now how many people want to master in them? You know why the waiting list is lower in America? And it will be lower in America even if we go to socialized medicine? Because we have more fucking doctors that practice that kind of stuff. You know why they're here? Because our system is very easily and more than capable of making millions upon millions of dollars, because right now it's a scam. For example, about a year ago, I went to the hospital with Shalene at MUSC, which is the Medical University of South Carolina, and she had a spinal tap. We stayed there overnight. She stayed there for observation. She had an MRI and MRV, and she had a spinal tap. It ended up costing her $21,000. $21,000, and that's not counting the eye doctor visit at Storm Eye Clinic. That ended up costing her another $1,200. I went this week with her because she couldn't get nobody else, and it cost her $150 to take the field of view test. Sorry about that. Took her $150 for the field of view test. It cost her another $50 copay just to get seen by the doctor, and it cost her another $25 for numbing drops for the eyes to take a pressure test. So, you know, the visit was like $300, which she didn't pay. She ends up, you know, getting billed for it. And that's just the way hospitals are, dude. I remember I broke my hand. Well, I didn't really break my hand. I sprained my wrist when I used to work at MedGlass, and I had Blue Cross and Blue Shield of South Carolina. And with insurance, I still had to pay out of pocket $375 because that's just what they charge. I mean, I'm pretty sure the insurance company ended up paying like $3,000 for my 4-hour visit to a doctor's care to see if my wrist, and they bounce people back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I mean, just keep that in mind, that $300 and some odd when I had insurance. And that's the fact I want to talk about Obamacare. Obamacare not only forces you to buy insurance, people that might not be in the realm of capable of paying for insurance to begin with, the poverty stricken. Obviously, there's a clause in it that talks about anybody under I think 133% poverty level is eligible for Medicaid, and they passed that right on to the middle class with a 3.8% tax increase to help pay for Medicaid. And then they basically throw on another, in my case, it's going to be a 9% tax increase because of my income level. Obviously, if you're in the poverty-stricken level, you have another 2% tax increase. Right now, I'm in a 28.8% tax bracket. With the Obamacare bill in effect, I'm going to be somewhere along the ballpark of 43 to 44% tax bracket. That means 44% of everything I make that's not deductible is going to come straight off the top. So over half the money I make will basically go straight to the government. So if I make, $100,000, 44% of it has to go to the government. $44,000 I'll have to pay in taxes to the government for that year. And then you got self-employment taxes of $7,500. So now I'm up to over 50% of all my wages are gone instantly. Then you factor in cost of living, you factor in bills. You have then I'll have almost sudden I'll have like a 10 or 15% actual, what would you call it? Disposable income will be 10 or 15% of my annual gross, and so that means I'll pretty much have $10,000 to do with what I want that year, which is understandable. I'd be more than perfectly happy to do that, but the fact is, I won't have free health care. I'll have insurance at that point. I'll be taking like a 12 to 15% decrease in petty cash to have insurance. Which insurance is a good thing, because it's better than having nothing. But for the simple fact is, I still would have to pay $375 to go get my wrist fixed, or I'd have to pay, an MRI is $800. You have to pay out of pocket. You still have to pay 10% of the hospital bill. So let's take Shalene's hospital bill from a year ago. All right, it was $21,000. Well, 10% of that is $2,100. That's what I would have to come out of pocket. $2,100 to get a spinal tap, and that's it. That's in case you don't go through with it. So, I just said if I made $100,000 a year, I'd have $10,000 to $15,000. That's $2,100 off the top of that, and that's not counting if you only go to the doctor one time that year. Pretty much, you have to pray that you don't get sick. If you want to give me these kind of tax ratios, because, people talk about America has one of the lowest tax brackets, you're just factoring in income taxes. Here we have property taxes, we have income taxes, we have sales taxes, depending on everything. If you go to get a sandwich at McDonald's through the drive-thru, using McDonald's here strictly for preference, you have to pay 27 extra cents. That's just straight drive-thru tax. Cigarettes are taxed like 15%. Gas has got a tax. That's one reason gas is high almost everywhere. The higher your state tax is, the higher your gas is. That's why when people see my videos and they see the South Carolina thing, my taxes are null and void. But without further ado, let's go ahead and look at some of the other things. But what we basically discovered is Obamacare, even though the Supreme Court found it constitutional, is basically going to force people into money situations that they don't want to be in for care that is substandard to begin with. And even when you have insurance, the care that insurance gives you is horrible. It is fucking horrible. And right now they'll do premium hikes, but the bill stops them from being able to do premium hikes and drop you from pre-existing conditions and stuff like that. Let me go ahead and show this chart. All right, on this chart, you see that 400% of the federal poverty line, that's the equivalent of $80,000. If you want to, just pause the video right here and study the premiums on it. That's basically what you got to pay for a family of four based off your annual income or your family's annual income. The only thing bad about that is if you're married and you got 4 kids, or or if you're married and you got 2 kids, you're going to be in that 400% tax bracket, and it's basically going to cost you an extra $8,000 to $10,000 a year just to have insurance if you don't have it through an employer already. Whereas employers, if they have a certain agreement, they get a 50% tax break because employers pay. Right now employers are taking the brunt of the medical field as itself. And here's what I'm afraid of. Based off the strict money standpoint of things, when the government starts having, everybody going around in an insurance company embargo instead of it being like a socialist system, since insurance companies run it, the insurance companies are going to get bukus of extra money because 36 million some people are going to have to jump in and buy insurance when they never had it before. Insurance stocks are going to go through the roof if you're a trader right now. I mean, if you had the extra dolo, I'd be investing in hospitals and insurance at this point. But I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that's had this idea. But the worst part about it is, we might have a fucking Nazi state here, because since the fact is you getting sick is going to hurt everybody else in the community at this point because everybody's paying for your stuff. What's going to happen when they start telling us when and what we can eat, and start dictating diets and things like that? Because you know what? In the long run, we pretty much everybody's going to be in the pot together. And if people want to eat bad, they're going to cost other people money. And they're probably going to start forcing them to eat a certain way, or forcing them to take a certain, dietary supplement, or start charging them money if they can't lose weight. I mean, this is where this is heading. It's not a very patriotic, and it's not the basis of where America was founded on. I mean, I understand taking cues from socialism. I certainly do. Because you know what? At the end of the day, have you ever heard a Canadian complain about their health insurance? I've never once heard a British guy go, nope, it's the worst shit ever. Have to wait 15 years to get a fucking cough cured. And it doesn't work like they want you to portray that it works like. This bill right here was created by insurance companies. This bill right here was created by hospitals, created by pharmacies. You know why? Because if 36 million people get insurance, 36 million people, will not understand this bill perfectly. And they will use it. And next thing you know, they're out there with more pills in their pocket. They got 10, 15 pills they got to take. Even the worst case scenario, you got to pay $5 a piece. $5 a piece for generic pills at Walmart equals $50 a month. That's what is that? That's $600 a year. 600 times 36 million is $2.1 billion of extra revenue in a pharmacy's hand. And that's basically what that is. That's all that is. This bill needs to be killed. I do agree. We need something along the lines of everybody having some sort of medical coverage. We do. I mean, it is morally irresponsible for America to have the highest bankruptcy rate in the world based off medical bills. Did you know what? 50% of everybody that ever claimed bankruptcy in the United States has done so because of medical bills. We are considered one of the most unhealthiest country in the world. You know why? Because of our medical situation. But at the same time, we boast by having the best medical staff in the world. And that's very easy to do. You know why we have the best? How many doctors have you went to that was from India? How many doctors have you went through that was from the United Kingdom? How many doctors have you been to that were from other countries besides America? You know why they're here? Because it's easy to make money here. It's easy to ride Bentleys off of money here. It's easy to accept money from pharmaceutical companies that will pretty much, tell you to let somebody go home and die. That's where our health thing is. And it saddens me when I see polls of like 6% of the United States think that healthcare is an actual problem in here. It's ridiculous. Obamacare is bad for our society. Obamacare should be dead. But the fact is, they shouldn't let the idea of socialized medicine die. Because I would pay that extra, 12% fucking tax rate if you can make sure every time I go to the hospital, I'm going to be treated well, and there's never going to be a point in time where I'm turned down
because I was fat when I was 26 years old, or because I have bad nerve system in my leg before buying insurance, or before, you know, I have a child that might be born with some crippling disease and they tell me to go home and watch it die. Money is an evil thing. Even though money makes life very easy and money buys you what you want, at the end of the day, it's an evil thing. And it saddens me. I'm pretty much in tears right now thinking about how corrupt our fucking system is. That, you know, there's not people out there that's decent enough to care about their fellow man. They're the same people that drive by, you know, the young Mexican guy on the side of the road that looks like he just learned how to drive, and, you know, his car that's like, you know, 15 years old because cars are astronomical in price and not everybody can afford them, blew a tire because oils went through the roof and his family couldn't afford to put good tires on him. But everybody thinks they're going to stop and rape him. He's going to stop and try to rob them just because of his ethnicity. Those are the same people. These are the same people that preach war but won't send their own kids to it. These are the same people that I'm fighting right now to get my brother the aid that he pretty much signed on for. My brother is a war veteran. He is a Purple Heart War veteran, and he has PTSD. And they're fighting us tooth and nail right now, trying to prove that he doesn't. I mean, I love my country more than a lot of people, but some of the shit they do is fucked up. It's been your boy Wings of Redemption, and this is my take on Obamacare. Peace.